Greetings and welcome to another video, this time talking about how to get from level 90 to 100 as crafter. And as I think my ENDWALKER video lacked some variation and alternatives, I want to talk about 3 ways this time to reach max levels with basically all disciplines of the hand in no time. But before getting started, a short disclaimer: leveling up crafters so early in an expansion will always consume lots of gil, so remember that waiting until you actually need crafting jobs might be the smarter way of doing it. But of course, for those that watch this video in a later time, everything applies in the same way, just way cheaper. And you can even get jobs to 100 for free, if you're lucky. That brings us to the first method, leaf quest leveling, which I also highlighted in ENDWALKER and is undisputedly the fastest way to get from 90 to 100. I just got my armorer to max level in under 15 minutes. Here our goal is to accept those leaf quests that demand you to trade in 3 pieces of a specific material. Something like the mountain chromite ingot. Nearly all crafting jobs have a trade-in quest like this available, but it gets difficult if these materials are heavily overpriced. Then I would recommend going for the methods that I will present later. However, the smart thing here, you can just buy those materials from the market board, as the leaf quest doesn't require you to craft them yourself. I swear to you that I've seen snow cotton cloths for under 800 gil at some point on the second day of Dawntrail, so if I would have bought those 3 times, it would have been a perfect trade, as the leaf quest gives you back around 2.5k up to 2.7k gil per trade-in, as well as some materials and crystals on top. The problem here, you are limited by the amounts of leaf quest allowances, where 6 of them can be automatically generated per day. Which means you can't simply use this method for all of your crafters in one push, but you have to wait a bit. One thing to use against the limited amount of leaf allowances are high quality trade-ins. That means if you trade in the required item in high quality, you will receive double EXP and the rewards, which increases the value of a single allowance significantly. The big advantage here, if you ever find any of the before mentioned materials for cheap, buy out a lot, and remember that on higher levels there's a chance that new leaf quests will appear with different materials as requirement, which saved me on my armorer, as the low level quest became insanely expensive due to the low supply on the market. That means wait until you find these materials on a decent price, especially the high quality ones. If you want to level multiple jobs, buy out a bunch of them, and even if you just do the same quest from 90 until you reach 100, this is perfectly fine, because the rewarded EXP won't scale too high and all depends heavily on the prices of materials. And again, that pro tip for trading these in, on the window for selecting the required item, you can see on which spot the engine is selecting the item from your inventory. And if you place it at that spot, you can make use of a neat little button which is called Confirm inside of your keybind menu. So bind this to any button of your liking and smash it once you talk to the NPC on the right side where you complete the leaf quest, because doing this many times will heavily decrease the required time and make the process become much more smooth. By the way, even though prices are much worse than there will be in a week or 2, I haven't spent more than 700k gil and 45 leaf allowances for my carpenter. That sounds a lot, but remember that I have received back 250k for the gil reward, so basically around 450k for 90 to 100. Like I said, if I have gotten those snow cotton claws for 2k as high quality, I would have spent only 100k for the whole 10 levels. So it really depends on the prices you can catch these items for. So keep checking prices regularly, but remember to not overcap on leaf allowances. Alright, coming to collectability leveling. Here I used the Weaver as example and spent around 3 million gil. Yes, now you can say, wait, but you're getting plenty of purple scripts for this step. Yeah, these aren't worth much, maybe around 100 to 200k if you simply buy number 11 materia for the scripts and sell them on decent prices. Regardless, this is still super fast. With buying materials, creating macros for each step and the like, it took me around 40 minutes for 91 to 100 on my Weaver. Without that theory crafting and having a clear path before you start, this will not consume more than 25 minutes. A couple of tips though: as we're receiving tons of purple scripts, make sure to buy out these revised engineering manuals. But the lower ones are fine too if you still have those lying around. Those come in handy when crafting all the collectible items, even though the earned XP bonus has been reduced by 50% above level 70 or 80 respectively. That's still a bonus of 75% for crafting experience points. Then use the free company buff on top, or ask kindly that someone can activate that for you. Or even get those squadron engineering manuals for a little something on top. But I guess these work like the battle manuals and don't stack with the free company buff. Alright, coming to the actual crafts. The macro that I use takes around 15 steps for a clean value and a high quality item. And I made a low level version for the 91 collectible and one for the 97 one on the high level. Both requiring decent Endwalker crafting gear and melts, but not the best in slot. Just something you could craft endgame stuff with in patch 6.4. Just know that these aren't optimized at all, so if you find something that works better, let us know in the comment section. Otherwise, check out the description for the macros I used. Then of course I still had to buy out the materials required to craft collectibles. That mentioned, for those that took a break for a while, collectibles are now a new subcategory inside of your crafting log. So stop looking for that collectible buff as I did, because I didn't remember that change from last time. If that is secured, it is time to search up a quiet and nice looking place to start with crafting your first low level collectible. After a bunch of trade-ins and reaching level 96, I found a cheaper option with the level 97 collectible, which of course you should always take into account and compare prices of these items keenly. Especially on a later date, these won't cost you that much, just that the value of purple scripts is even worse than it is now. Which means the leaf quest methods with just base ingredients trade-in in high quality is way cheaper and much more reasonable to do, especially if you have time to spare until 7.0 launches, bringing in the new battle gear that people will buy out in masses. Nonetheless, let us come to the third step, which I consider the cheapest but absolutely most time intensive and something you should only do if you want those crafters up very inexpensively and time is no value to you. Here the idea goes like the following: as materials are hella expensive right now, we can simply craft those base materials in high quality. That means you're exchanging the required skins and cotton, etc. into the finished leather and cloth, for example, which in the best case you can either trade in on leaf quests for a straight boost in time, connecting to the first method again, or to make it as inexpensive as possible, you can sell these now. Because from any point in the future, except the market is being reset by the new demand before 7.0, those materials will constantly decrease in price, so the earlier you start selling them, the better. What sounds awesome on paper made me baffle a bit, because I literally spent more gil on those sub-baseline ingredients like skin and solvent than the leather itself. So basically only the high quality status could make up for it. But on the other hand, heavily increases the time you need to spend on crafting. So all of this will depend massively on prices you get the materials for, which means constantly checking the market board and knowing how the prices are on their normalized value is still very important. Generally, you should always try to buy out materials early in the morning, because later in the afternoon or evening hours, these prices can easily skyrocket or even supply can deplete in certain categories. Which leads us to the conclusion. If you have time and want to use the fastest and kinda most efficient way, use your leave allowances for some jobs now and do the others next week or the weeks after. Especially those jobs relevant for battle gear should be up to level 100 when 7.1 arrives. When going in full max level on Omni crafting now, you can add those collectible trade-ins, but prices here are even worse than on leaf quest items. Last but not least, manually crafting could be the cheapest option, but if you compare that against spending that time grinding fates while also leveling all jobs, I would personally not choose that option. But of course, if you watch this video much later than the point it had been released, there might be beast tribe dailies, so try to go for them, as these cost you literally no gil at all. Alright, these are the options I found out to provide a solid way of leveling your crafter jobs. But of course, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. I'm planning to upload a follow-up video in my endgame crafting guide before 7.1, and of course, just for you to make some gil and having my spreadsheet available for those nasty little MSQ coffers, I will force my crafters up in the next days. I mean, why playing the game for making so much gil and then not spending it, right? So stay tuned for a free boost to your purse if you cap those coffers. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.